Sakui Garabode, and welcome to Cassus Café. Today is our Season 3 of Mandalorian episode rankings and general review. It's going to be a little interesting because we're going to go through each of us and we're going to rank our episodes from least favorite to most favorite and kind of talk about why we put them there, and then we'll get into a kind of more general overall discussion about the season as a whole. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first person we have up is Tykoth.
Hey, I kind of feel like my list is going to be maybe the most different, but we'll see.
Yeah, probably.
So at number 8, I have Chapter 17, The Apostate. I just probably the most underwhelmed. That's the premiere. I just remember not being super interested, and the fast pace really threw me off. But, these are still like all Star Wars, so I still really like them, but I was just the most underwhelmed by that. Number 7 and 6 could easily be interchanged either way. Chapter 20, The Foundling, and Chapter 21, The Pirate. 7 and 6, maybe it was like the daytime setting for me. Maybe it was just, we've talked about a little bit of the Power Rangeriness. I felt like it was kind of the most apparent in those for me. But still liked them, but they just didn't do a whole lot to push forward certain things. They're fine. Number 5, I'm actually really surprised that I ranked it this low, was Chapter 24, The Return. So that's the finale.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't expect it to get that low, but as I was, knocking these in, that's just where it fell. Everything from this point, I actually really do enjoy quite a bit, but for some reason, I just didn't enjoy it quite as much as the rest. Number 4 is the real hot topic, Guns for Hire, which is black. So the fact that I rated that higher than The Return is probably going to get me murdered a little bit. Okay. I had the most fun with it. I thought it was really just quirky and weird, and I kind of dig that in Star Wars. Number 3, I'm sure Ankin will agree with this. Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. You probably placed it way higher, but just really, really enjoyed the pacing of that one. Maybe the best pacing of any episode, but really, really dug it. Number 2 is Chapter 23, The Spies. So that's the first part of the finale.
Interesting.
I liked that one a ton. I actually wasn't on the review for that one, but I liked that one a lot because of the pacing and because of like the emotional conversations between Bo and Din. Thought those were great. Yeah, definitely up there for me. And then number 1, of course, which is the real, is Chapter 19, The Convert, the Coruscant standalone episode. I'm a hypocrite because I criticize Book of Boba Fett, but here it is at number 1. But you know what? I don't care. I liked it. It was a spin-off, and it was weird and slow and and serious. And
I'm not surprised one bit at that.
That's the number 1.
Yeah.
I expected that one to be high on your list, but I didn't know you would put it as number 1.
It's also the longest episode.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm not surprised at that. That's pretty good. Awesome. Well, all right. So let's move on to Kleina. Go ahead with the orders.
All right. My number 8 is Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. I just... When I was doing these rankings, I was thinking 2 things. A few things. 1, how rewatchable is it? Would I want to go back and rewatch it? Number 2 would be, does it actually fit within this season? And then a little bit of, was it actually good or not? Which this one was docked on several of those reasons. My number 7 is Chapter 19, The Convert, mainly because it didn't really fit. I would have liked it more if it was in a different show. And I think if I were to rewatch this season, I'd probably just watch the beginning and the end, because I feel like if I'm wanting to watch The Mandalorian, I would want to watch just those parts, and I want to be in the mood to watch the middle part. But I could imagine going back and watching just the middle part when I'm in that kind of mood, but that's not a Mandalorian mood. Anyway, number 6 is Chapter 17, The Apostate. Honestly, the first episode was kind of forgettable. A lot of things that happened in it didn't really feel important until like the very last scene of this season. And then it still wasn't really that important. That last scene was just to remind us of what happened in the first episode.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Yeah, and it was all out of order, and that just made me mad. Every time I rewatch the episode, I'm probably just going to be mad at the order that it's edited into. Number 5 was Chapter 20, The Foundling. I like that episode. I'm surprised I have it that low, but I think the other episodes I just would want to rewatch more than I'd want to rewatch that one. Number 4 is chapter 23, The Spies. Number 3 was chapter 21, The Pirate. Number 2, I put chapter 24, The Return, and number 1 was chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. And those two I went back and forth on, but really because the only thing in The Return that I really want to rewatch is that scene with Skippy and the fight with Gideon. So if it wasn't for those two scenes, I wouldn't really care much about the episode.
I'm surprised you put The Return so high. Yeah, that's...
But honestly, it's because I really like the Skippy scene and the little mouse droids coming in, messing with him. I just really like that scene. But then I remember that in The Mines of Mandalore, Skippy's in that one a lot too, and so I really like Skippy. Apparently, I have come to love him. So
I do too. I definitely do.
He played an important role in my rankings.
I based my rankings off of how much Skippy is in this episode.
Though, if I did that, the apostate would be a lot higher because he originated in this show in that episode. Anyway, that's my ranking.
Awesome. All right. Are you ready, Cap?
Yeah.
All righty.
I got a small post-it note with Scrabble over it.
All right. Let's hear it. What's you got?
All right. My least favorite is chapter 17, The Apostate.
Wow, interesting.
We all ranked that pretty low so far.
The reason is nothing really happened. And as much as I liked seeing Navarro all lush and all that, especially as we go throughout the seasons, at the end of the day, I remember watching it and going, nothing happened. And was quite disappointed for that reason. And on top of that, it set in motion like half a dozen plot lines in one episode. And that's it. That's all it did was start half a dozen plot lines. I really don't like that because it felt very confusing. It felt very disorganized right from the get-go.
Yep.
That's why that one's the lowest. The second lowest, number 2, would be chapter 23, The Spies.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. This kind of has to do with the fact that I feel like this is just too early. I don't think this should have been in this season. This felt way too rushed to have him back on Mandalore and to retake it. So yeah, I didn't like it. Now on top of that, Gideon's on a base that has the ability to talk to anyone in the galaxy, but anyone else that's in, an atmosphere can't talk to anyone in orbit. So why does he get the special privilege to do so? So yeah, I have some issues with that. And naturally, what comes after it is chapter 24, The Return, because it's just basically a continuation of The Spies. Not only that, I found the finale quite underwhelming, personally. I really was not getting I can't wait to see the finale. I was just like, just get this over with. This is a train wreck in motion.
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
That's exactly how I felt. I was not emotionally invested at this point. I just didn't care. I was just end this train wreck already. So next would be the Guns for Hire.
I am so surprised that all of you did not put that lower and that it's kind of somewhat near where I have it, and I'm very surprised by that.
The reason for that is that they're Jack Black and Lizzo, they don't dominate the whole episode. Yes, they are in there, have an issue with that, but 99% of the episode they're not in it. I also enjoyed the idea of a detective style plotline in Star Wars, even though it wasn't executed it well. I did enjoy the planet and all the vibe of that planet in general, but again, it was not the best episode.
Did you put that at number 4 or number 5 and count?
That's number 4. So it's
okay. Wow, we're the same. That's wild.
Yeah. So that's where that one is. That next one was The Convert, chapter 19.
Wow.
I liked this one a lot. Even though it's a book of Boba Fett in the season 3, I did enjoy watching this because we got so much needed lore and world building that was needed in this universe at this point in history. It doesn't fit, which is why technically I gave it such a low rating. I think I gave it a 4. But at the same time, when I watched it, I really enjoyed it. That said, it did feel a little long with how long they drug out Pershing's story. In the end, it was quite irrelevant for the season, so that's why it's where it is. So the next one would be The Foundling. I enjoy this one. I feel like this is where things were starting to get better in terms of like story writing. We got more of a complete episode, which reminded me of seasons 1 and 2. You might notice a theme here. But yeah, The Foundling, really enjoy this. It was not my favorite episode. You'll see what my favorite episode in a minute, but this was much more true to form in my opinion, and I appreciated that a lot. The next one is Mines of Mandalore. Not my favorite episode, but I did enjoy the completeness of it. Even though it was a bit rushed, I feel like in terms of like progression, I did enjoy that episode in isolation for what it is. You know, him going down to the planet, seeing Mandalore, Bo-Katan going to save him, and getting to see the Mythosaur. For that reason, that is why that is up there. Then the last one would be my favorite. That is the Pirate, Chapter 21. This is my favorite for the simple fact that if it was such an awesome episode, it almost felt like the season finale, actually.
Could have been.
Yeah, because we get to see, and to me, this is where it should have ended this season, because we got to have two clans unite. We got Bo-Katan and the Watch together and beat down on some pirates over Navarro. And then at the end, which by the way, it was an awesome sequence. Nobody died. And so I was just like happy-go-lucky at the end of it. And on top of that, they had a place to like settle down and have a home. So I was like, bam, this is like awesome. This would be a great way to end the season. In my opinion, that should have how it gone into season 4.
These lists are not going the way I thought they would.
Oh, you're about to get your mind blown right now. Okay.
I have a feeling I know what your number 1 is. But...
we'll see. Okay. All right, so here we go. My list. Just a preface. I went into this list kind of on the same boat as Kleina, but I just thought that overall the plot of this season was so poor. I went into this list thinking, what episodes would I want to rewatch mainly? And when I think about what I want to rewatch, it's mainly because I don't care about the plot. It's mainly about the action and the cool character moments.
Yeah.
So that's my headspace when I'm going into this list. So here we go. Least favorite, Chapter 22, Guns for Hire.
There it is. I was waiting for somebody to do it.
Yeah, I think Kleina did.
I did too.
Yeah, Kleina did.
Was it bottom? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Guns for Hire, for me, it just didn't do it for me. Not just the Jack Black and Lizzo thing, but the completely rushed linear storyline, the droid junk going on in it. It didn't...
It wasn't complex enough. It wasn't interesting enough.
Well, yeah, and the droid stuff just didn't click with me. And it was, it's whatever. The only cool part was the fight scene between Bo and Axe at the end. So it's not enough to save it. 7, my second least favorite, is The Convert.
Okay, yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
1, it was, for a Mandalorian episode, didn't belong. Totally useless for the overall season, and there wasn't anything interesting to me in it that had any bearing. So yeah, it's whatever. The only redeemable part was the dogfight at the beginning, and that wasn't enough to save it. So now 6 would be Chapter 17, The Apostate. For me, similar to you guys, I guess it was just a lackluster entry into season 3, and like Kleina said, it's very forgettable.
Yeah,
it's very weak.
Yeah, the only reason why I barely remembered it, but I remembered it, so that's why I bumped it up above above Convert, was because of the cool dogfight in the space with the pirates, where he was like hiding behind the asteroids, and then
that was a good fight.
Yeah, suddenly going over, shooting them, hiding behind another. That was just really cool sequence. So that saved it a little bit on the ranking.
Yeah, I had to actually go back and go like skim through. I'm like, what happened in this episode? I forgot.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I agree with you. It's that forgettable.
Yeah. So, all right. So, number 5, chapter 23, The Spies. For me, it just, I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of action that, except for the pad stuff at the end, and I thought it was okay. But in general, I just think it was too rushed. It was weird, and there wasn't enough to like draw me into the episode that would break it higher for me compared to the other ones. So it's not terrible. It's just not up there. Number 4, chapter 20, The Foundling. I really enjoyed this mainly because of the Order 66 flashback. That's pretty much it.
I'm with you there.
And the big fight scene in the air with the Streak Hawk was really cool. That just those 2 sequences really made the episode stand out to me.
Which have somehow disappeared ever since they took the foundlings.
Yeah, they took the 3 little ones and they're missing. Never seen them again. Yeah,
that's true. Did they even bring those to Navarro?
No.
Nope.
Well, yeah, no.
You never see them again.
Wow.
I don't know. Who knows? They might have, but we just never seen.
There were too many loose ends to this season.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because they rushed it.
Yeah. All right, 3. Here we get in my top 3, guys. 3 is chapter 21, The Pirate. So it's just, kind of part 2 from episode 4 or chapter 20, The Foundling, where they kind of continue on that story plot and they fight the pirates, and that whole fight scene in Navarro was just great, and this atmospheric fight with Bo and Din with the pirate ship, really good stuff. So I would rewatch that probably just for the Mandalorian action. Really good. Though, when you think about, if I was ranking this compared to or regarding like the plot or pacing or those kind of things we've talked about, it would be lower because the pacing and the sequence of events in that episode were the worst, like egregiously the worst. Just how quickly people got to places and settings, and but overall the action saved it for me, and that's why it's more rewatchable for me, and that's why I ranked it higher.
I mean, yeah, this is your like just personal taste, not necessarily based off your rating.
Yeah. And all right, second favorite, number 2. What do you guys think?
I think The Return, because I know what your number 1 is.
Well, chapter 18, Mines of Mandalore.
What?
Yeah. So I'll try and give a little bit of explanation. Since before the finale, Mines of Mandalore would have been my favorite because we get pretty cool fight scenes with Din. We get pretty cool fight scenes with Bo. We get to see the Mythosaur. It was really neat, a solid episode. And up until the finale, it was my favorite. But when the finale came out, which is now I'll get to, is my number 1, chapter 24, The Return, it's more rewatchable to me. There's much more action. It's much more intense. There's the Gideon fight is amazing. What little we did get of the space fight looked really good, and I like Axe and how he crashed the ship down and stuff. And even though it's weird, I like how he shot up through the atmosphere into the ship and was like getting everyone to scramble. I liked the jetpack fight stuff going on. I really like the Din fights in that episode in general, with when he's fighting sequentially through the gates into Gideon's place, and when he breaks out of away from the 2 guards and stuff. So there's just a lot more action. It's a lot more rewatchable for me than all the other ones, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my rankings.
There's so much not unified in all of our rankings that is fascinating to me. They're all so different. The only thing that I can feel like in all of ours is that the apostate is relatively low.
Yeah.
It might not be the bottom, but it's like near the top, bottom 2 or 3 in all of ours. But everything else is completely all over the place.
Yeah, I think it's because it's mostly forgettable. I mean, all it did was set up half a dozen plot points. It went nowhere. And not to mention that there were some questionable things like, wait, you went and got Skippy the droid or whatever.
Was that your absolute bottom, Cap?
Yeah, it was the bomb. It did nothing that episode. I found myself going like, I guess I have to wait till next week to actually see the show start.
That episode just kind of makes me mad because it was edited so poorly. Like if they just edited it differently, it would have been better. It would have been more rewatchable.
If this whole season was edited differently.
That's true.
Would have flowed better.
There were just so many pacing issues through the whole season and every episode.
It was the pacing was consistently bad.
Yes, that I can agree with.
Yeah. It's like the episodes felt slow, but then the season felt rushed.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they were trying to find a balance between serialized and unserialized. Like they were trying to sort of like mix in the old style of Mandalorian with having this continued storyline. Maybe because they were too scared to go full into serialized. I don't know why they would be, but yeah, like they were so concerned with each episode still trying to be its own thing, so that
they didn't do a good job of it.
Yeah, but doesn't it feel like that a little bit? Like they were trying to balance both forms there.
I think I can see that.
Like episode 1, forgettable. Episode 2, definitely better. Episode 3, mostly Well, I don't want to say forgettable, but like. Most people
mostly
didn't like
unnecessary.
Yeah, mostly unnecessary.
Yeah.
Episode 4, this is awesome, and then it was like, oh, episode 5, this is awesome. Episode 6, meh, Episode 7, we're getting there. Episode 8, okay, whatever.
Okay,
just
we're
get it over with.
here, but we shouldn't be yet.
But we shouldn't be here yet. Yeah. God, when I think about the overall season, I feel like half of it should have been spread out through this season, and then the other half be season 4. I think we've mentioned it in our past reviews, but I think we all can come to that agreement where it needed to be split up, or more episodes at least.
I like the idea that Captain mentioned earlier, is that he said episode 6, I think it was the pirate when they're attacking Navarro and they're protecting
That's
it.
5.
Oh, episode 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a really good season finale, like you said. And then even just that ending shot with like Bo-Katan, you're going to go recruit people now and leave that would be the season finale.
Cut to black.
Go on and do that for a whole season.
Yep.
Yeah. I think my most standout-ish problem I have with the season, besides pacing, but it kind of still has to do with pacing when it comes to the plot anyway, is the lead up to Gideon.
That's pretty much what I was going to talk about too.
Yeah. So like we get one throwaway line at some point. It was in an early episode. I don't remember what one exactly, but they just kind of talked about the possibility. There's a rumor going around that Gideon didn't make it to trial. Carson Teva was the only one that mentioned it. I don't remember which episode, but it was pretty early, and it was kind of a throwaway line. And then they revisit that in
The Convert.
In The Convert in episode 3, the former Imperials talk about it offhandedly as a rumor. So right now we have 2 throwaway lines. And then Carson Teva brings it up again when he visits for episode 4, when he tries to get help for Navarro. He mentions it to the Republic guy. So we got 3 throwaway lines.
You mean chapter 5, the pirate? Because chapter 4 was the foundling, and it was just purely about rescuing the foundling.
Right. Yeah. So chapter 5, the pirate, when he's going to try and get help for Navarro.
And then there's nothing hinted toward. It's at the end.
So at this point, every other episode, they're mentioning Gideon is, rumored to have never arrived.
Yeah, and then the biggest, and then
after Guns for Hire, is that when it happens? They go for the search.
Well, so at the end of one of those episodes, it's really hard to tell which one.
I think it was at the end of the Foundling was when he saw the... No, it was at the end of the Pirates one that he saw the spaceship.
Was it at the end of the Pirates when he saw the spaceship?
Because it was after he went to go get the Mandalorians to protect Navarro.
I can't remember.
When he was heading back to his space area.
We have 3 throwaway lines and then a big major scene where he finds the shuttle, and we're actually like, oh crap, But I feel that shuttle scene should have been placed way before, like way earlier. And
maybe
we have
2.
Yeah, maybe episode 2. Make it spread the teasing of Gideon out longer and make us think that maybe give us a little bit more of him doing whatever he's doing, like alluding to him and what he's doing, but not really showing us where he is.
Yeah, it's at the end of the pirate episode.
Okay.
Episode.
So I'm sitting here in Disney Plus and I realize if you cut the last 3 episodes off, to be chapter 21, episode 5 of season 3, would have been your season finale. Gideon's not really referenced other than those throwaway lines, and it could just be like laying the seeds for the next season, right?
Yeah, like imagine the end of this season being that shuttle scene.
Right? And then,
that would be really cool.
And then, because then if you go to chapter 22, Guns for Hire, you know, I don't think there was an ending scene with Gideon. But
chapter 22, Guns for Hire, should have totally been the first episode of season 4.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This feels like 2 seasons smashed together. And I even said at one of these reviews, I said, I sure hope they don't just take those 2 groups of Mandalorians and try to retake Mandalore, because that is massively rushed. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, because they teased that Gideon didn't go to trial, but then we only ever get to see Gideon in the last 2 episodes. He just shows up
and then dies
in episode 7, and then episode 8, and then he dies.
And that's my problem, is like they bring him back just to kill him off again. It's like you know, that's why I ranked those 2 episodes down, because
I still have a suspicion. Maybe my suspicion is a hope that that's not the real Gideon. But
I hope it's not, because then at least it makes it less painful.
I kind of hope it is, because I kind of just want him to be gone now at this point. We need something else. Because they're setting up Thrawn. I mean, they're setting up Thrawn as the big bad. He's basically the Thanos of Star Wars right now. And they need to get rid of somebody. And Gideon's kind of run his course, I feel. Like, we've got him in season 1. We've got him in season 2. Now we have him barely in season 3. I think it's rushed. It's not very satisfying, but his character just needs to go away.
In that context, I agree. Yeah.
Because it feels like a episode 9 of just pulling the Emperor out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
To be the big baddie for episode 9, just to kill him off again. It doesn't feel satisfying, and that's exactly what they did with Gideon. And that's why I've ranked these 2 episodes so low. It was not satisfying.
I don't like how they ended Gideon's story, but I am happy about a few things with it. One is that we finally have a concrete answer for why he wanted Grogu and his midichlorians. Yeah. However, with this season, I'm still disappointed with all the stuff around Pershing, because I would love to see more of his character. That convert episode made me want to see more of that, but unfortunately, pretty sure he's dead, or brain dead, or
I don't know, because
I do think there's more.
Gideon says in episode 7 that he's temporarily unavailable.
See, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so frustrated with the Pershing episode, is that they could have not had that episode and everything else still makes sense. Just he's temporarily unavailable. That's all we needed to know about him.
All that episode did was give us context for The Rock.
That whole episode just made me want to see that in a different series, not in this series.
Yeah.
I do think technically you could get away with the second episode, and then the last 2. And it still makes sense.
Yeah.
You could do it in 3 episodes.
I think you might need 4 and 5 just to show Bo joining the getting to know and joining.
Yeah, because then you'd be like, wait, how is she leading these people?
Yeah. But other than that, episode 6 could be skipped. Episode 3 could be skipped.
So 1 could definitely be skipped.
Yeah.
Most of 1 could be skipped.
Most of 1 could be skipped.
Most of 4 could be skipped.
I think to help the pacing, this is how I would re-edit, and just kind of a review of how I'd re-edit the entire season. We have episode 1. It's fine. We've switched the scenes, the Bo scene around.
Yep.
And then we end on him blasting off after the space battle.
Mm-hmm.
Then episode 2, we keep all of that. Episode 3, we keep the beginning and the end, and we morph that into episode 4. So that's all one episode. That's episode 3.
Yeah, so you cut out the Pershing part.
Yeah.
And it's just the beginning of that episode, and then them warping out of space, because I think it actually starts with them after they get done with Dr. Pershing, them coming out of warp.
Yep. They go straight to the planet the covert's on.
Right, which is so fascinating to me, because and then the pirate episode, which I did enjoy, what's his face is just light jumping all over the place in a single episode.
Yeah. And I would probably intersperse some scenes from episode 5 and episode 4 in different orders to make the pacing of travel a little more manageable.
Yeah.
So it would be like the pirates start attacking Navarro, then them escaping from whatever Mandalore planet Bo lives on and going to the covert. Then we go to Carson Teva trying to request the Republic for help, and he's shut down. Then we go back to what they're doing on Navarro with saving the kid and the Grogu flashback and stuff. And then we cut to Carson coming to Navarro, tracking them down in Navarro, or not Navarro, wherever the covert is, whatever planet they're on. And then pretty much after that, sequences stay the same for the whole Navarro pirate stuff. And then after that is episode 6, right? Yeah.
Guns for Hire.
Frick, episode 6. Take the beginning where they enter the planet. Edit, like we said.
The planet? You mean to enter that pod?
Yeah, when they get into the pod, they go to where the Mandos are, and she has the fight, and they get together.
They never go in the city.
But we keep the love scene, right, between the two aliens.
No.
Dang
we
doesn't matter anymore.
it's fine. It's
I'm
whatever.
gonna keep that in.
We can keep it because it has no bearing. It just kind of shows what the other Mandalorians were doing at the time. So that's fine. It's
I'm
whatever.
gonna make a director's cut.
You
with
could
the love
move
It
scene.
goes in the Ty Koth cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
Everything
can
else
also
is
move it a
super
little bit
focused,
earlier.
and then it's like just this one scene I really like. And then there's also going to be a scene with like the droid bar, just like no context. It's just going to like be a cutaway for a while.
That can be the ending shot of the season, just them all sipping on their pin, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Except I'm putting Skippy in there, so.
and there's more that should be in the season, but I'm just talking about like what we
core.
have to work with. So since we're basically one episode missing, where did I leave off?
Just combine the last 2 episodes to make it one episode.
Well,
Have it
I
as
would
6 episodes a season.
So
make
I
us
would
grand
no.
season finale.
So because we're missing an episode at the end of, so since we're getting rid of most of episode 6, they go into the planet, they go to the Mandos, she fights some Mandos, blah blah blah. They come back, then she goes off and finds somebody else. Boba Fett, Fen Rao, don't care. They've got plenty of time to do something like that in the space that we cut out everything else. And then
now you're adding stuff.
I know, but that's how I would fill that episode from taking stuff out.
I thought we were just talking about like taking what's here and re-editing it.
Okay, here's the thing: we take out either 6 or 3, and then just add in a Boba Fett episode.
Yes.
Boom.
And then.
Yeah, then he gets his revenge.
Right, and then 7 and 8 stay pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But we would also, if we were adding things, we'd also kind of tease getting a bit more throughout.
I would also probably make the space battle in episode 8 a bit longer, because I would like to see more of that.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but if we're just working with what we've got, and we can add that one episode that we're making an exception for, that would be a better season, in my opinion.
Low key, what if we got rid of the last 3 episodes and brought in the 2 that were shot for Book of Boba Fett that had no context for Book of Boba Fett? It's stuck them at the beginning of this season where they belong.
I love it.
Yeah, change chapter 17 and just make that one the first Mando episode. Yeah.
There you go.
Those would make fantastic season premieres.
Yeah, I feel like those 2 Mandalorian episodes in Book of Boba Fett are like OVAs, and they don't belong in Book of Boba Fett, but they could be put at the beginning of this season. But if they're not, and we keep all these episodes, then they would be like OVAs that would just be in between the seasons. It's an anime term for certain one-off episodes.
Oh, okay.
That don't
like
really go in
service episodes.
Kind of, but they don't go into the official seasons. They're one-off episodes that aren't part of the actual seasons. It's similar to that, so that would be kind of what they would be.
I mean, if you combine those 2, you almost got a mini Mando movie.
Yeah.
Okay. What about stuff we like?
I mean,
Skippy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like the action for the most part. There's nothing wrong with the action in this season.
The one thing this season has made
CGI.
me really happy is I learned about Skippy, and we now have the Skippy comic, and I am now getting into the Star Wars comics, and I'm very excited, and they're fun.
The big thing for me, and it's it's in your face, but is Bo-Katan.
That too.
Just becoming a real big character, and maybe someone might not like her kind of taking over a lot of the show, but I've just like loved her character growth, and it feels pretty natural, and she doesn't feel too forced in there. But
I really
love
like her
growth.
too.
At the beginning of the season, I would have agreed with you. I just think the longer that she played a forefront to Mandalorian rather than Din started to grind on me. Like, okay, I get it. I mean, I like
Mandalorian's
Bo,
in his own show, but he's in the back seat.
Yeah, I felt like, okay, we need some more Din. Like, I like Bo, but Din's taking a back seat, and I'm not enjoying it as much. Like, I liked Bo at the beginning because she's cool. She comes in, she's not quote girl boss because she's had character development in the past. She knows what she's doing, so she's not
so interesting.
Yeah,
and she's not unbeatable either.
She's got history.
She's got some weaknesses, strengths.
So I liked that, and I liked the balance between her and Din in the finale. That's what I felt the entire season should have had.
I liked her dynamic in the Spies.
Yeah, like she could have played a more prominent role like she did, but it shouldn't have to sacrifice Din to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like the more ability to take her helmet off. Maybe that was it. Why I just
which is funny because I kind of liked her acting with the helmet on more.
Same. I like her more when she kept her helmet on.
That's funny. Yeah, I just liked seeing a face and I like Katie Sackhoff too and stuff. So.
No, I'm not bashing her.
That sounded like I just like her for her face, but like,
no,
I like her for everything. Wait, that sounds weirder. I like the character for completely valid and non-weird reasons. I just want to clarify that.
But yeah, there's things to like in the season, but I just think it's
the visuals has never been better.
Oh yeah, the visuals are incredible. I think they definitely did a better job with scope, like I've mentioned before in our reviews in this season. The volume and whatever else they used to make the massive scenery and Coruscant and the space and the planets and everything is done really well. Really good CGI and set and visual effects. So
yeah, I don't even know how it could get any better at this point of certain things.
Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, they've gotten. I think some people have said the opposite of this, but I feel like they've gotten so much better at making the space. Yeah, just the space of it work.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel tight and restricted.
Yeah, it definitely feels more wide scale, epic scale than the first two seasons. For
and
sure.
after Andor being shot on like natural locations, I was thinking this would seem a lot tighter than it did, but it didn't throw me. I still think Andor looks better, but like this is top notch still.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's kind of shift gears here, and where would we put this season in regards to the other shows / other seasons?
So what other shows are there? There's Book of Boba Fett, Andor,
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
And
are we including the cartoons?
No, it's just live action stuff.
It's kind of live action shows.
The stuff that they put on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Andor. So far.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I'll differ from you guys. Well, actually, I mean, me and Andor.
I think Andor's number one no matter what.
And Andor is by far number one. I'm probably gonna differ from everyone and put like Kenobi after that because I'm such a fanboy after Kenobi.
I honestly, because Mando took over 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett, I always remember Book of Boba Fett in a lower light. But I loved not the Kenobi show, but I loved the little Leia show. I loved her parts in it for sure. She overshadowed Kenobi for me. So I do like that show. I just like it for different reasons.
I like the first, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of Kenobi when he's on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
Those were really strong. But once he left Tatooine, I kind of checked out.
He definitely leaves it at the end of the first episode.
He does. Okay, that must have been just the first episode that I really liked.
Because it was like 4 episodes, wasn't it?
It was 6.
Wow. 6 1-hour episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. but after that, I mean, I feel weird because I like the shows more that people like hate. Like I like Book of Boba Fett quite a bit. Other than
I enjoy it too.
Stuff. I have rewatched the first season of Mando a couple times, and I think at the time it came out, for me anyway, I was so infatuated with the idea of Star Wars TV live action that it was so new and so fresh. And upon like rewatches with other stuff come out, I was kind of like, oh, it's still great, it's still fun, but it's lost a little bit of its early wonder, just for me. And so I think I was watching it with maybe rose-tinted glasses there.
Yeah.
So I tend to put that first season kind of lower than most live-action Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I would put these seasons for just Mando at like 2, 3, 1, for my personal favorites. But I'd probably stick like 2 Book of Boba Fett, 3 season 1.
See, I normally, when a new season of a show comes out, I'll rewatch whatever seasons came before it. But I didn't do that for this season of Mando just because I haven't had enough free time lately.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian since season 2 came out. So it's been a while for me.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because except for when we were doing our reviews, I would never really rewatch any of this stuff. I think I rewatched season 2 of Mandalorian once, but that was pretty much it. I haven't rewatched anything. I haven't rewatched Obi-Wan. I haven't rewatched Andor, even though I really liked it. I haven't rewatched season 1 of Mandalorian, and I've only rewatched each episode of season 3 like 3 times, just because I would watch it when it comes out, then I'll watch it with Kleina when she gets home, and then we watch it again before the review. And I don't expect that I'll probably end up rewatching it anytime soon. I would probably put season 3, I guess, in regards to the other Mandalorian seasons, probably probably my favorite would be season 2, then season 1, then season 3.
Yeah, I think the only reason I put it higher is just because it's a little more maybe fun of a rewatch. There's just more happening. Because I love the finale of season 1 a lot. Like those 2 episodes are really, really great. But outside of that, there's not like a ton. I don't really like adore the other ones as much as I once did.
There's just a lot of really good stuff that happened in season 2. Like we got the Bill Burr episode that was really good.
It's so strong.
Every
episode.
We got Luke. I even really liked the Frog Lady episode with the spiders. It was just kind of this one-off, but it was really cool.
And then the Marshal is like one of the best of the whole series.
The episode 1.
You probably don't like it.
No, the first episode.
Unbelievably. Oh no, that one. But I'm saying you probably don't like it, but I like adore the Ahsoka episode.
I don't care about that one.
Yeah, but I think it's awesome. Yeah, the Bill Burr you mentioned is great. The finale of that one is really, really incredible. Yeah, they're pretty much. Oh yeah, even the Siege. With Carl Weathers and Cara Dune, their little spin-off. Yeah, all of them are good. Every episode is really good.
All right, Cap.
I've been kind of quiet because I didn't want to interrupt. In terms of rankings, I would rank Obi-Wan as the worst of live action I've watched.
Yeah, same.
And I would have no desire to rewatch it in its released form. I did rewatch in terms of a fan edit. In this particular case, it was the Patterson cut.
Okay.
And it fixes most things. I mean, it came out within a few weeks of the final episode coming out. That should tell you like how bad the show was. That somebody's like, I gotta fix this now. And to be honest, like I said, with the little time he took to make it, he fixed so many issues. And I was like, yeah, when people are like, oh, I hated the Obi-Wan show, I'm like, here's this link to the Patterson cut. Watch that. And it will restore your faith in Obi-Wan. So that's why I rank that as the worst. Next would be Book of Boba Fett. I liked Book of Boba Fett in most cases. I did not like the biker gang. It felt so out of place. Yeah. And I didn't like how Mando took 2 of the 6 episodes that Book of Boba Fett was supposed to have.
Yeah.
But nothing can ever match the egregiousness of what they did to Obi-Wan.
I like to imagine that the 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett that Mando took over don't count as Book of Boba Fett.
So Book of Boba Fett's 4 episodes.
Yeah,
Right.
so when I think about my rating of
short.
Book of Boba Fett, I ignore the 2 episodes with Mando because they're not part of that show.
It is, but it's at the same time with just 4 episodes. If you think about it in a different light, it's like he got his own spin-off.
Well, that's what he was supposed to get anyway.
It was supposed to be.
Right. A really long
Yeah.
movie. So if you think about it like that, he's actually
But either way, I felt like that was just mishandled. I have not seen Andor. That leaves.
So what I've said was true from a certain point of view.
That leaves the 3 seasons of Mandalorian. Season 3 is easily the least favorite. I have rewatched seasons 1 and 2. In fact, as soon as season 2 ended and we had that amazing ending with Luke Skywalker, I remember me and my brother, we actually got my parents to sit down and we started from episode 1, season 1, and we worked all the way through to that final moment. And my dad finally understood why we made him watch all of it for that amazing moment at the end. And he went, that was good, that was worth it. You know? And that's like the only Disney Star Wars they have watched since episode 7, because to them, episode 7 was the ultimate betrayal to anyone who was a Star Wars fan from the original trilogy, and they have not watched anything other than these 2 seasons of Mandalorian ever since.
Good men, good people.
So as a result, I would say,
I mean, I'm a sequel defender, but I still rate Force Awakens as my bottom Star Wars ranking.
I'll just no comment.
I mean, you should agree with that. It's at the bottom.
No.
Yeah, we're on.
Yeah.
Well, somewhere.
We'll get into that
for another time.
Yeah.
That's why I said no comment. Anyway, season 2 is the pinnacle of Mandalorian so far. And I definitely enjoyed season 1 over season 3. Just that in that first season, we get that, like, what is this dude? He's mysterious, and it's fun. We get Cara Dune and a bunch of other things going on. We get Gideon introduced and IG-11. IG-11 is awesome. And it was so sad to see him go. But then season 2, we have the Crate Dragon. We have, was it Bill, what's his last name?
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
We have him, and then we have Luke Skywalker at the end, and it's just this ultimate crescendo of an ending. So, yeah, to me that is right now like how I view Disney Star Wars. And like I said, I was with my parents when we watched with my brother the first 2 seasons all over again. It's the only Disney Star Wars that I've done so far, and I would absolutely do it again. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Nice.
So what I'm hearing is you need to watch Andor.
Yeah. I think he'll like Andor, but I think he'll definitely think Mandalorian's better, because I even kind of feel like Mandalorian's a little bit better in some aspects.
I think like there's Andor, and then there's like spacebar, down.
I agree.
I think,
and I love
Andor's,
everything.
Yeah,
but that's how good
I
Andor is.
just think Andor's its own genre almost. It's not the
Andor is good enough that I don't need to attribute Star Wars beforehand.
I'll give it a watch this summer.
I don't need to say, hey, this is my Star Wars rating versus your rating. It's just like
Andor is just a show that's really good that happens to take place in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
it's just a really good sci-fi show.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. This has been a really interesting season. Thank you guys for discussing it, enjoying. It's been great, and hopefully we will get together and review some more stuff. Visions is coming up, so maybe we'll get together for that. So
let us know in the comments what you want us to review next.
Yeah, I need a break too, because once we get the episodes edited, I have to switch my computer chassis. So.
And also comment the next thing to be Star Wars droid.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.